Hello. Hello. And how's it going? Um, so every year I do this kind of wrap up stream on Twitch where I talk about the games and other stuff I liked. Uh, Usually just games though. I usually leave the other stuff for other streams, but I had made this list at the end of 2023 last year, but I never did the stream for it. I was a bit busy. I finally graduated, so hooray! And I've been looking for jobs. But we'll get into that later. For now, I'm just going to go through these games, and we're going to go through it, and we're going to go through it pretty fast compared to other years, I think, because I'm not going to have too much to say, hopefully, about most of these. But first up on the list, definitely Game of the Year for me, numero uno, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm a D&D nerd. I run games, I play games, so Baldur's Gate 3 was, I was already looking forward to it. I like Larian. And I'd been playing Baldur's Gate 3 before it came out. They kind of had the first chapter and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And so when the game finally came out, it blew me away how much better it was than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, pretty good, top-down RPG with characters that I can kind of enjoy, but it was far and away way better than I thought it was going to be. So that surprised me, and it was pleasantly surprising. And Baldur's Gate 3 definitely the game of the year for me last year. So the other games are in no particular order in this game of the year list, but Lethal Company. I really enjoyed Lethal Company. It was very good. And basically, it came out of nowhere. I know the game dev, he created some other stuff that I can't remember off the top of my head, but pleasantly surprised to see Lethal Company, and it kind of proves the fact that if something's cheap and it has multiplayer, then it's going to succeed, as also proven by a different game that I don't know if it's on this list or not. No, I didn't include it because actually it came out at the beginning of this year, Pal World, so I'm just going to talk about it real quickly. But it's kind of a similar thing where it's like cheap and it has multiplayer. It doesn't matter how good or bad the game is. People are gonna enjoy it. So yeah, and Lethal Company was very good. I enjoyed Lethal Company, my time with it. But obviously don't play it as much anymore. Fire Emblem Engage, very good. I enjoy a good Fire Emblem game, and Fire Emblem Engage was one of them. The characters, a little on the weak side, I have to admit. I wasn't a huge fan of the characters themselves, but the gameplay was still just as good as Fire Emblem is, as you come to expect from Fire Emblem. Was really fun. So big ups to them for making it still fun to play. But yeah, the characters definitely took a step back, it felt like, in this one. Especially after how Three Houses had this huge, massive fan base from it reached well out of the Fire Emblem standard typical fan base and reached way out there into other people. And it might have to do with the setting and stuff, because Engage was kind of a little bit removed from a kind of grounded setting. It was a little less grounded, but Engage was still a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I like some of the characters, so props where it's due, but it wasn't as good as Three Houses, obviously, but it was still fun to play, so I enjoyed it. We love Katamari Reroll. Me loved playing Katamari again. It was a lot of fun. Completely blew through the game in 2 days, I think, and had a lot of fun with it. All around, just great game. I mean, if you ever want to just sit down and have fun for a day or two, play a damn Katamari game, because they're very addicting and very fun. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. World of Horror released this year. It's been out before. I might have mentioned it actually on one of these previous streams, but still a great game. Released this year, released new gods and stuff. It's basically a roguelike about eldritch horrors, which is a lot of fun if you've never tried it out before. And it's all made in MS Paint by a dentist. So great success story from an independent developer, and a great game. This kind of horror roguelike. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, great game. You love to. I already liked all 2D Marios anyway, basic. I'm a basic bitch, Even the new soups, which got old after a while, I do admit, but they were still fun to play through. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, though, add a lot of new things and looks great, and it's just a great game. I mean, you can't go wrong with Mario Bros. If you're not stupid, which Nintendo arguably, isn't most of the time. Coming fresh off that Yuzu controversy, though, so who knows? But yeah, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, great game. Had a lot of fun with it. I'm excited to see what they come up with next. It's hopefully not going to be just another Wonder 2. Maybe they can get away with like Wonder 2, but then move on to something else. You know what I mean? My Time at Sandrock, the sequel to My Time at Portia, released, and I enjoyed it. With my time with it, I might actually return to it because it did fully release this year, but I'm a backer of it, so I've been backing it for a while. I know the devs had some controversy in the past with voice actors, but as far as I know, that was kind of their screw up, and they admitted to it, and they bit the bullet for it and kind of did their own, made up for it basically in their own way. So, and independent Chinese developers making their own kind of series of games about farming and doing some other stuff, because you're not actually a farmer in these games, although you can farm, but you are a builder, a craftsman, and you make stuff, and so you have to like go looking for materials to craft stuff and all that schnit. But yeah, My Time at Sandrock, great game, very enjoyable. I really enjoyed the different aspects of it, and ad breaks coming up, so hopefully if anyone's watching live, sorry, but that makes it so no pre-ads come for the next 30 minutes for anyone who does join the stream. But nobody should be coming to the stream. I'm gonna be honest with people, nobody should be coming to this stream right now. It's just me uploading a time capsule for myself to watch in the future, basically. Risk of Rain returns. I love Risk of Rain 1. I love Risk of Rain 2. Risk of Rain 2 was one of my favorite roguelikes of all time, roguelites of all time, whatever the fuck it is, who cares? And Risk of Rain Returns brings Risk of Rain 1 into the modern era. Risk of Rain 1 had a lot of weird stuff with it, like if you try to do multiplayer, there's a lot of issues and a lot of other various weird stuff, so bringing it back into the modern era. I know it was just Gearbox trying to resell it, but I don't care that much. But we'll see where the Risk of Rain series continues to, because now they are owned by Gearbox, which isn't my favorite company. In fact, they are one of my least favorites. So we'll see where that goes. Paranorma Site: The Seven Mysteries of Hanjo. Fucking fantastic mystery horror game. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because it's great. And if you're interested in anything, if you're interested in like almost Hunter x Hunter type battle, like a battle system / JoJo, where you don't know the powers of your opponent and you have to figure them out, that kind of thing. This game has a little bit of that. It's not like super in depth with that, but it's basically like there's some people out there who have mysterious powers that you don't know, and if you do the wrong thing, then they'll kill you, that kind of thing. And it's a VN visual novel, but it's also like more than just a visual novel. Like you look around in scenes and stuff, and you do some stuff. So it's a visual novel plus, is what I want to call it. Where there's a couple extra things. It's not just you looking at a screen and clicking and choosing options. So it's a few more things, but it is at the end of the day a visual novel. But it's very good, and it's a mystery, and it's paranormal. Of course, the word paranormal site, but in horror and that kind of thing. So it's very interesting. I say check it out if that sounds interesting to you. Myself, who's going to be the only person watching this feature. But anyway, Wild Frost. One of the best game soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. It's a roguelite, whatever you want to call it, that has released this year. And it's a lot of fun itself. It does have some weird things involved with it that I think prevent it from being something that I'll play permanently into the future, like an Isaac or something like that. But it's a lot of fun the time I had with it, and I'll remember the soundtrack for the rest of my life. It's actually I bought the soundtrack and I ported it into my foobar, so that in future streams, if I do stream again, the soundtrack will be in foobar, so we can hear the songs from it. on stream, which is really cool. Maybe I should turn that on. Maybe that's a good idea. Hold on 1 second. Let me. So maybe I should have foobar on right now because like I'm just talking and there's nothing going on. Ooh. Well, we just got lucky and got Wild Frost right at the start. So maybe you can see some examples of what I'm talking about. This is one of the best damn songs from the thing too. Yeah, no, the songs in this game are fucking fantastic. I really love them. And you can give it a listen to it here right now as it's on the foobar. And I don't have a lot on foobar right now, but there's some fun stuff on here, so hopefully we'll get to see some random stuff here. And not just Wild Frost. Subnautica's in here, I gotta remove that. Sorry, we're just jamming to the music a little bit. Let me turn it down, actually, so it's not too distracting. But these songs are fucking awesome. they're amazing. But yeah, and finally, Game of the Year. Shadows of Doubt. Independent developer releasing a immersive sim that's about you being a detective and you have to solve, well, private eye. You have to solve different cases in a city. Some of them being like murders, but some of them just being like petty stuff. Very cool game concept. Very cool. So far, it's still in early access, but we're going to see where it's going. And I'm definitely a fan of it, as is already. So we'll see how it develops further. So we're going to talk Fell Flat now. I only have 2 games here. I honestly expected there to maybe be a little bit more, but then as I was making it, I was like, no, this is really it. I kind of felt like I had a good year with games this year. So the first one, Hogwarts Legacy. So let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy controversy real quick. Who cares? You're not a morally reprehensible human if you don't play the game, or if you do play the game, I should say. But you're also not. You also can, try to represent your own kind of moral strength by not playing the game, and that's fine too. I didn't play the game because I felt like it would be disingenuous to myself, who doesn't enjoy Harry Potter stuff. I'm not a huge Harry Potter enjoyer, but I have enjoyed their games in the past. That's the difference. I don't like the movies. I don't like a lot of the stuff, but I think the world is interesting. And I think the games in the past have been fun enough for me to either play or watch and that kind of thing. So I was a bit interested in this coming in, but I saw the controversy around it. I was like, well, I'm not going to play then. Fuck it, I'm not going to play that game. So I decided not to play, but I did watch a bit of it and looked at kind of the critical consensus of it. It was a very successful game, obviously, because it's a Harry Potter game. But at least in my opinion, the game looked incredibly fucking boring and was basically just them going like, look at this, you could wander around the Hogwarts school and look at the interesting thing. Like, the game looked fucking boring as sin. So even without the controversy, I think it's just not a good game. But with the controversy, that kind of adds to it, where it's a bit bad. So yeah. Am I getting Fury in here? God damn. And other Fell Flat, a game that I did play, Starfield. So I'm a big Bethesda boy. I enjoy my Bethesda games. I know Bethesda has a lot of haters. But I'm a big Bethesda fan because nobody makes the games Bethesda does, which are these big sprawling open worlds where you like a lot of different things can happen. And they're interesting, and people are like, oh, well, as wide as a lake, as shallow as a puddle, and I disagree greatly on a lot of their games. However, I do agree when it comes to Starfield, because all you do in Starfield is fly around and go to post-generated worlds that are just generated after you land, or as you're landing, and they're just boring, and there's no interactability, and it's just incredibly fucking boring. And I don't believe this. This is the game that Todd Howard wanted like 2 decades to make or whatever. I don't believe that. And it does worry me for the future of, their other series, Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Fallout already had a stinker in 76, and 4 was kind of ass as well, but at least 4 had that kind of baseline where it was still a Bethesda game where it was open world and it still had that kind of stuff, and you can still like mod it and enjoy it, which is a big aspect of these games as well. Starfield doesn't have that, doesn't have any of that. And something that I thought was interesting was the Starfield charts dropped below top 100 like 2 months after release. To put that in perspective, Fallout 4 and Skyrim have both never dropped over top 100 since their release. So that's a little interesting, The Fallout 4 and Skyrim, say what you want about them, they're fun games to play, and the previous games in the past, and although I enjoy previous games in the series better, like New Vegas is my favorite Fallout game, and Morrowind is my favorite Elder Scrolls game, I still went back to Skyrim right after playing Starfield and just played through that instead a bunch because I wanted to have a fun time with a Bethesda game that was newer. So I played through Skyrim again, and I had a great time, and it was fantastic. And if you looked at the Steam chart, Skyrim actually got an uptick in players after Starfield came out, so I don't think I was the only person doing it. Yeah, it's rather interesting how ass Starfield was. And I coming into it, I was like, Starfield's probably going to be ass from release, but I don't care. It's going to be a Bethesda game. It's going to... Years and years down the line, people are going to mod it and all that stuff. And now, after playing it, I'm like, man, I don't think anyone's going to give a shit about this game years and years later. Like, nobody's going to fucking care. People are just going to go back to Skyrim. They're going to go back to Fallout 4. They're going to download their 2,000 mods, some of which are a little bit questionable. Wonder what you put that up on the Skyrim Nexus? But, yeah, so we'll see with that. We'll see how that develops, I guess. But in my prediction is that people aren't going to want to do mods for Starfield. All right, so you might have noticed some games missing here. Don't worry, we'll get to them. Some big games from the year. We'll get to them, okay? But first, my need to play category before I get to the other/honorable mentions. My need to play category: Hi-Fi Rush. This game kind of flew over my head in the year, and I didn't really know about it until later in the year. And then some of my friends were like, "Yeah, it's a fucking fantastic game." And I was like, "What?" And I hadn't heard anything about it, so I need to check out this game. I still haven't checked it out, but I need to check it out soon. I don't really have money at the moment, so not really sending it on frivolous games that I don't know if I'm going to play for that long. But I do need to check it out this year. I think I'll enjoy it rather heartily. We Were Here Forever, the newest We Were Here game, get released. And I need to play it with my friend Kyle if he ever returns to the face of this earth. I haven't talked to him in months. He disappeared in the middle of 2023, so... but he's off doing his own thing, so whenever he returns, we might return to these games and finish off the series. I don't know if they're going to make more, but we'll see. The Metroid Prime Remaster. I actually bought this game last year. Speaking of frivolous purchases of games that I'm not going to play, I bought this game last year. I have it sitting on my Switch, and I haven't played it yet. Metroid Prime 2 I played it on the stream first time, and I enjoyed it so much that I had myself muted for 5.5 hours and didn't even notice. So that's how much Metroid Prime 2 is like one of my favorite games after playing it. That game was so much fucking fun. Seriously, that game like skyrocketed up my games list, my favorite games list after playing it. So I should really play Metroid Prime Remaster. I hear it's nothing but good. I hear they basically nailed it. And that's what I'd expect from Retro, who I believe did the remake as well. Am I wrong there, actually? Hold on. Let me pull up a different tab. No, not in this. I don't want to distract the stream, but Metroid Prime Remaster. Who developed it? Retro. Yeah, and Nintendo R&D. So it was Retro. It's nice to see Retro actually doing something again because they've been fucking MIA. Where are you, Retro? So Retro was supposed to be working on a new IP, but they never released it or something. Like, who knows? Now they're back on they're back on the remaster, and they're back on Prime 4 now. So I'm glad to see them there because I rather enjoy retro game studios. I think they're a very good studio. I rather enjoy seeing them actually make games. The Donkey Kong platformers were some of the best platformers I've ever played in my life. They're fantastic. So more from retro. I actually was considering. I've not even considering. I did apply to retro a while back, but I haven't since I graduated. Maybe I should send out another application, but I don't want to move at the moment, so probably not. But that's in Texas, so who knows? But if retro is actually full swinging again, working on stuff and not their IP, which seems to have maybe failed, I'm not sure. That's good. But I hope their IP didn't fail. That's not good, but we'll see. We'll see where they go with that. But you're so Like a Dragon Ishin and Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. I need to get back on the Like a Dragon series, formerly known as Yakuza, which they changed the name to Like a Dragon because that's what the name is in Japan. I believe it's called Like a Dragon is the series name instead of Yakuza, which is the series name in the West. So they changed it to Like a Dragon so that the series is kind of homogenous, like how Resident Evil is Biohazard over in the East. So they did, and so they kind of changed it around so that it's the same. So it's Like a Dragon, and is what the series is known as now in both the East and West. So I need to play those games. I know their quality. It's a Yakuza game. The thing about Yakuza games is maybe you don't want to play them all back to back because they're kind of similar in a lot of aspects, but they reused a lot of their stuff to make great games that used very unique features. I heard in one of the more recent ones there was literally an Animal Crossing minigame, and it's not even at the beginning of the game or anything. It's 3/4 of the way through the game you unlock an Animal Crossing minigame, and you can just spend hours and hours there. I was like, huh? So yeah, I need to check those out. Final Fantasy 16 released. A new numbered Final Fantasy is always exciting, especially when it's headed by Yoshi P, who did the 14 remaster and all that stuff. Yoshi P, I think, is very competent. He's also one of the only people that Square Enix apparently trusts right now, alongside Nomura, which is strange. But I think Yoshi P is really good, and he nailed a lot of stuff about. Sorry, one of the dogs is opening my door. I'm watching 4 dogs right now, but we'll get to that later. Hey, hi, how's it going? Hi. Oh, multiple of you are coming in here. Hi, hello. Hello. Oh, hello, you poodle pups. Coming to say hi to the stream. Hello. All 4 of you. All right. Get out. Get out. Get out of my room. All right. Sorry about that interruption. Now we got Minecraft in here. Oh, damn. But yes, Final Fantasy 16, I think, nailed a lot of the aspects of what makes a good ARPG, which I use. I wanted to make a video for a long time about the fact that ARPG is used for 17 different genres. But by ARPG, what I mean is character action fighter, I think is what it's being called now a little bit. Which is it's a bit between stuff like Dark Souls, which is a real-time RPG. I don't even know what to fucking call it, but Dark Souls, which is technically an ARPG because that's what the genre is called. Even though I know you're like, what? Isn't that Diablo? But it's the same but different. So Dark Souls, it's between kind of Dark Souls where it's slow methodical prodding, and hold on, I gotta take this call. Funny, and a bunch of interruptions. Alright, sorry, that was just my meine Schwester calling. Because I still live with her at the moment. Which is something that we'll get into later, but just telling me she's going to be home late. And I'm going to have to watch the dogs a little later than usual, which is no problem. So what we're talking about, so between Dark Souls and something like a hack and slash, like what's a modern hack and slash? Ultra Kill, kind of? But like the Devil May Cry series, although those are kind of character action fighters, you see where this is a bit confusing? Especially me pausing in the middle of it and having to take a call and then coming back. Yeah, it's a bit confusing. But I think they do a lot good from that aspect, where it's like you can't spam items, like in very famous one, Nier Automata, kind of falls in the same vein, where you can just fucking buy a bunch of potions and spam items, or Final Fantasy 15, the game right before it, where you could buy a bunch of potions and spam them. You can't do that in 16, so that's really good, and that's something that I think a lot of these games kind of miss. And it nails a lot of aspects, but it also fails a lot of aspects from what I've heard. A lot of the kind of cinematic stuff just isn't very good. It's kind of boring. Take a look at Kingdom Hearts 2, 1 and 2, and how it does it in not 3, because they got rid of reaction commands, but 4, they're reintroducing them. I think Kingdom Hearts does those really well. If you're looking for like the cinematic kind of thing, while not trivializing your fight by just making you have those cinematic things, 3 kind of fucks it up a bit. But so hold on while you have to excuse me for one more second. Hopefully this will be the last interruption for a while. Hopefully that's the last interruption for a while. Hello, chatters. How's it going? So yes, Final Fantasy 16, the final thing I wanted to say on it is I'm excited to play it. I just hope it comes to PC sometime soon. The same thing to be said about the Final Fantasy 7 Remaster Part 2, whatever the hell it's actually called. Released on fucking PC. I want to play the fucking game. I loved the fucking first part. It was fantastic. It was one of my favorite games of that year. It might have been my favorite game of that year that it came out. It was great. Released the second part and also released Final Fantasy 16. I want to play them. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLCs. I have played these now. I've played these now. And if you want to learn more about what I thought about these DLCs, you can tune into the streams that I have with my good friend YRock, where we talk about thoughts on these matters. I still have to beat the second one. I haven't beaten it yet. But Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLCs, what do I have to say about them? I think the story in the first one at least was handled well. Gameplay is still Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so unfortunately that isn't fantastic, but hey, you haven't even played part 1? How does it transition into part 2 then? If you don't play part 1, does it just like skip? If you go back to part 1, are the characters just like different? Like, how does that doesn't make any sense to me. Because part 1 feels like it builds into part 2. Like, how do you even start part 2 without doing part 1? So you tell me they don't even give a fuck about the characters in part 2? So you're telling me my predictions are definitely going to be correct when I get to the end of part 2. Anyway, watch... Oh, Final Fantasy 7. Okay. Final Fantasy 7 Part 1 remake is really good. That's my recommendation for it. But stay tuned to me and YRock's stream where we talk about more stuff involving that. Why are you so loud, Mario? Turn it down, bro. Actually, just gonna go to the next track. That track was so dang loud. Anyway, Bait and Kaitos 1 and 2 remastered. This was something that came out of the blue. I'd never expected this to get a remaster. It gives me hope for more random JRPGs that nobody knows about to maybe get a remaster. Maybe we'll be seeing a Terranigma remaster one day. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Maybe I'm going to... if it doesn't happen, my ass is going to break into the gaming industry and make it my damn self. But we'd have to also remake the previous 2 games, which names that are escaping my mind right now. But yeah, Terranigma remaster, please, Christ, please. It's not going to happen because what was it? It's the same company that made. What is it called? God, what is it called? Now I gotta look it up. It's made by the people that made Soul Blazer, which is a previous game in its kind of trilogy, and Illusion of Gaia, which it's a trilogy ending with Terranigma, but it's made by Quintet, which are well known for the ActRaiser games, and if you know. They're kind of owned by Square Enix now. All their games, I believe, like all those games that I mentioned, are owned by Square Enix. And they tried to do an ActRaiser remake, and it sucked ass. It was really bad. It was fucking garbage. So I bought it and played it for a bit, and was like, "Oh, this is ass." So I don't think we're gonna see Soul Blazer or Illusion of Gaia or Terranigma remade, which is really sad. Because Square Enix is fucking stupid. Square Enix is fucking stupid. Give it up for Square Enix. They're fucking stupid. That's like half of this list has Square Enix games on it, but I mean, it's true. I'm not lying. I do enjoy their games because they make good games, but whoever the higher ups are at Square Enix really need to fucking just step down and let someone else go up there. Like, you're fucking stupid. Anyway, last one is Pseudo Regalia. Fantastic 3D platformer that everybody's recommended to me because they know I like 3D platformers and also fat asses. So those are 2 things that appeal to me, and this 2 things that this game really shows off well. So yeah, I need to check out that game. I'll probably stream it if I do. We'll see. I'll think about it. But great indie developer who's made games in the past and is making games still that look good. I think the next game is going to be like a multiplayer one, which looks interesting. Pants is an accessibility option, yeah. Square Enix says great developers of the company is Garba Butter. Yes, so true. So true. Nomura and Yoshi P are holding it down as directors there, despite everyone else there. I know people like to hate on Nomura at the moment, but I give him nothing but credit for being able to stick through that Final Fantasy 15 situation and stay with the company. I would not have stayed with that company if you hear the horror stories around that. But so yeah, that's from my need to play list. Moving a little down, others / honorable mentions. We get to some stuff that I didn't think were the best games. And some stuff that I didn't think were bad either. So I had nowhere else to put. Excuse me, C418. You just put like a fucking goose honking in your song? So my other and also games that I didn't play but I don't plan on playing. So first, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I was gonna make a video on this, but I think I'm gonna scrap it. It was a little too personal. It was a little too interpersonal, so I think I'm gonna scrap it. I still have a little bit of the script left, but maybe we're not gonna produce that one. Yeah, I had a video basically talking about why I didn't feel like finishing it, and the long and short of it, without getting into like personal factor, is it didn't fix the issues I had with Breath of the Wild, which Breath of the Wild is a great game, but I had some issues with it, like the dungeons and the shrines and stuff like that. It didn't fix some of the issues I had with Breath of the Wild, and instead just kind of reinforced them and just made the world again. And was like, wow, we got these two new areas, the upper and the lower, and the lower is just like kind of, I know one of my friends likes it, so I hate to say this, but it's kind of boring. You're kind of wandering around a vast wasteland, doing not a lot, with some interesting things spread throughout. And then the upper Sky Island area is few and far between. There's really not much up there. So it's basically majority of the game you're still in Hyrule again. And besides exploring, and seeing the characters that I knew from the last game and learning what happened to them, learning how they developed and stuff like that. Besides that, the game wasn't interesting to me. So I ended up not actually beating it. And I don't regret it. I do think it's a better made game than Breath of the Wild. I think the powers are a lot better than Breath of the Wild, but I have no desire to play it again. And that's sad. That's really sad because this is another kind of situation where it's like Breath of the Wild is the new Ocarina of Time, where it's like it's the new hotness. It's what they're going to base future Zelda games off of, as stated in an interview. And Tears of the Kingdom is that Majora's Mask to that Breath of the Wild. And unlike Majora's Mask and Breath of the Wild, I don't like these games nearly as much. So it feels a little sad. I prayed for return to Twilight Princess / Wind Waker. It would be nice if we got like an HD re-release on the Switch. It'd be nice if Nintendo just like backported their fucking game sometimes instead of just. I'll go into big complaints about this when we talk about, inevitably when me and Corey have a stream, when we talk about the whole Yuzu controversy and emulators, Switch emulators and that kind of thing. But the kind of short form of what I'm going to say is Nintendo needs to release their games on PC. So yeah. And that way we don't have to wait for them to re-release every game generationally and pay $60 each time. It's kind of a scummy thing to do. And we'd pay a lot of money to have those games on PC. Trust me when I'd say I'd pay a lot of money to have the whole like Zelda series, the whole Mario series, all that shit on PC, on Steam, easily accessible to me. So, and if you don't believe me, and if you don't believe other people would do it, just look at the fact that Yuzu had to pay them $2.4 million out of their back pocket, which probably wasn't all that Yuzu had. Probably wasn't the whole fucking thing that they had. And was Yuzu didn't request money for their services. They just set up a Patreon, which is a stupid thing to do with an emulator, but they set up a Patreon where people could optionally pay them, and they got $2.4 million fucking dollars to pay Nintendo with. Spoiler alert, Nintendo, it's a fucking gold mine if you put your games on PC. Anyway, we're moving on. Armored Core 4, Fires of Rubicon. I am not an Armored Core fan, but I am a FromSoft fan. Oop, ad break. As we're listening to a dog, hopefully the ad break isn't too bad. But Armored Core 4 Fires of Rubicon, I'm not an Armored Core fan. I am a FromSoft fan, and I saw the game coming out, and people LARPing as Armored Core fans. And saying, like, this game's amazing, it's going to be amazing. I had no interest in it. I like FromSoft. I'll play a lot of stuff that FromSoft releases. I won't play this, which is a game in an established series that I don't think... It's not that interesting to me. I watched a lot of footage of earlier Armored Cores to see if I'd be interested, and it didn't look that interesting to me. I'm not a huge mech guy. So it just wasn't interesting to me, and I ended up not buying it, and I am happy that I didn't buy it because a lot of other people that I know ended up feeling disappointed by it because they were like, well, this... Either they were disappointed by it because it wasn't what they were expecting from FromSoft, which is another kind of like dyed-in-the-wool Souls game that they could enjoy, or they were disappointed by it, and this one's more interesting to me, is that they were more disappointed that it did lean too much into those Soulsian aspects that FromSoft's kind of been known for more recently, and they were disappointed that it didn't lean enough far enough into the previous roots of the Armored Core series, which I can understand that as well. And in fact, if it had leaned a little bit more into, Armored Core, maybe I would have been a bit more interested, but instead it was this weird fusion of Armored Core and Souls that kind of disinterested me. I was like, whatever, I don't care. So yeah, that's why that's is in the honorable mentions, because I ended up not playing it and just hearing things about it, and so I don't know. It's a FromSoft game I'm not gonna ever play, I assume. 5 ads in a row, geez Louise, Switch ads have gotten bad. Yeah, that's so the reason why it's so many ads in a row is because again, the Mario music comes in at blazing decibels. But the reason why it's so many Twitch ads in a row is because I put it on a... Oh, here's Zelda Breath of the Wild. Speaking of, I do own this whole soundtrack as well, because I bought Breath of the Wild Switch on release with the whole soundtrack and everything. So no bugging me about that. But the reason why it's 5 ads in a row is because it's a minute and a half of ads, which is scheduled to be every 30 minutes of the stream, so that pre-roll ads are turned off. So that's why it's a lot of ads at once, instead of just being like 1 to 2 ads every like 10 minutes or something like that. It's 5 ads at once, so that for the next 30 minutes, there's going to be no ads for anyone and no ads for pre-roll people who come in as well to the stream, so they don't have to view an ad before viewing the stream. So that's kind of that aspect of it. Wow, Moobot's link in our Discord. I fucking fixed that. Nobody uses that Discord anymore. Anyway, moving on from Armored Core, Lies of P, which came out and surprised a lot of people. A lot of people were surprised that Pinocchio had such a deep lore that you could kind of pull from. Let me tell you this: any like fairy tale or thing that we can tell in the past, like somebody can make a fucking Charlotte's Web roguelike tomorrow, and it could be interesting and in-depth and going into the lore, because there have been so many years like interesting about this stuff, and there have been so many different creatives taking looks at it, and whoever is the current creative sitting in the seat, whoever is the current creative, in the chair, they can be creative. Spoiler alert: people can be creative. So you can take an idea and be creative with it. And so anyone who's like surprised by like, oh, Pinocchio has such interesting lore and is like doing this really cool stuff, like why not? Like you can do some really interesting things with the idea of a man who isn't a man, he's a puppet. Like, what is the nature of a man and that kind of thing. Like it's super interesting stuff you can delve into. And from what I saw from the game, they did do some stuff with that. The gameplay wise, it looked like Soulsian, but a little faster pace. Like the parry windows were only a couple frames apparently for a lot of stuff. And it was very fast paced and very quick, and you had to like keep up with stuff. And a lot of quality of life features were locked behind upgrades, which I didn't think was cool, but apparently they fixed that. But I ended up not really being too interested in it. I just watched some of it, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I'm glad that they did this. The game looks a little too try hard for me to enjoy. Souls, it's less forgiving than traditional Souls games, which isn't always the best thing. Traditional Souls games, they've kind of nailed a lot of that forgiveness aspect, where you don't feel like a complete fucking idiot for going for a parry and missing, but also like you don't feel like the game cheated you out of parrying and that kind of thing, which apparently Lies of P, it's a very short parry window and it's hard to get. So to me, it just didn't look like it would be a satisfying experience for me. So Rip Kyle, I see we miss you. Kyle recently started playing some game on Steam, so maybe he's about to make a surprise comeback. I talked about him earlier in the stream when I was talking about We Were Here Forever that came out, and I said I gotta wait for my friend Kyle to come back, but we'll see. We'll see. Kyle returns, whatever he's doing with his life. But other honorable mention: Payday 3. So Payday 3. So if you don't know the controversies around Payday 2, it's that they kind of became like a microtransaction heavy game,
And it ended up coming out that it wasn't the developers who had kind of done it, but it was the publishers who had kind of forced their hand. So after they had separated from them, they had become their own publisher and developer. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. It's great. They're going to make a new game, and we'll see where this goes. And Payday 3 released, and it was kind of ass. So I've stayed away from it. I was very excited for it because Payday 1 I loved, and Payday 2 I did enjoy a lot of. But 3 I've stayed away from. I've not heard great things about it, and I haven't really touched it. People make it sound like you need to be perfect at the parry, but you can get through the game mostly blocking and dodging. I mean, yeah, I assume the game isn't that hard, but it just didn't look like something that I'd vibe with necessarily. The gameplay wise, it looked like a little too sweaty for me. To put it in perspective, the sweatiest game I feel like I've ever played is Sekiro, and I didn't really like it that much. So didn't really like Sekiro that much, but it might have been because of the influence of me being on stream and me feeling like I didn't have a lot of time because I was in school. Which is something we'll get into since I'm not in school anymore, but we'll get into that. The final of the others and honorable mentions, of course, is the finals. The finals was really interesting. It kind of followed that same vein of Super People, which is a kind of a PUBG-esque battle royale. But the finals kind of followed that same vein where it had a really interesting like pre-beta access period where, you know, they had like a couple weeks where they came on for a weekend and you could play the game. It was a lot of fun. It was very fluid and it was really fun. And then they changed things between that and the game release, and the game release itself isn't as fun. And yeah, the finals beta was really fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a fun with my friends. The finals game release felt nowhere near as fun. And it had a lot of sweaty losers, which is just something that inevitably happens with the game over time. But it felt like on release, like the sweaty losers started coming out and just like super duper tryharding and all that stuff. And there was no like matchmaking depending on your skill. It felt like, I don't know, is the finals like engagement based matchmaking? Let me search that up actually. Let's see what type of matchmaking. Yes, it is engagement-based matchmaking. Okay. Yeah. So it's engagement-based matchmaking, which makes sense. A lot of new games are doing that. I fucking hate engagement-based matchmaking. Engagement-based matchmaking can suck my fucking hairy ass. It seriously makes me just not enjoy games at all. Apex does it as well, and it just fucking ruins that game for me. But, you know, nowadays the only people that play Apex are sweaty tryhards anyway, so not a lot of people who haven't played the game for years play that game anymore. It's a similar thing to Siege, where people who just haven't played the game and want to come back aren't as good, and so you just get pub stomped by people who are just constantly playing the game and nothing else. But engagement-based matchmaking sucks balls. Please get rid of it. Please remove that shit. Please, for the fucking love of Christ. People complain about skill-based matchmaking. I've played skill-based matchmaking for over a decade now in different various games, and I have never felt the same vitriol I have felt for engagement-based matchmaking. If you don't know what I'm talking about, skill-based matchmaking, which is what all the COD players complain about and stuff like that, is when you're matched with people who are of your appropriate skill every game. So if you're like a bronze level player, you'll be matched with other bronze level players. And that's kind of the thing. And people complain about it because people who are really good at the game can't be matched with lower level players to just stomp them. They have to try every game. And they're like, well, I don't want to try every game and that kind of thing. And it's a really stupid complaint. Skill-based matchmaking is just, it's being like astroturfed by a bunch of people as like being a bad thing, when in reality, skill-based matchmaking is nothing but good. And I've enjoyed it my whole life that I've played games with skill-based matchmaking, because believe it or not, games are more enjoyable when they're competitive and not just a pub stomp. You know, maybe the people who are at the top disagree with me, but I don't care. because I'm a normal player, and 90% of people are just normal players who want to play the game and have fun. So what's the difference between engagement-based matchmaking? Well, engagement-based matchmaking works like this. You win a game against people of your skill or less skill or higher skill. It doesn't matter, really, in engagement-based matchmaking. Because you win a game, the next game it matches you against opponents who are of a higher skill level. And it does that as you keep... If you win a game, it keeps matching you with higher opponents at skill level until you reach a wall, essentially, of people who are just infinitely fucking better than you. And will beat your ass down blue. And you might think, okay, that sounds fair. Like, you'll play 5 games, you'll win them, and then you'll get against a harder opponent, and they'll beat you, and then you'll go back down. No. What happens is, in practice, is you win one game, you get matched against people who are way above your skill level, they beat your ass, and then you get matched against people who are way below your skill level because you just lost a game. And now you're just ping-ponging between stomping people and then getting stomped and back and forth. And why it's called engagement-based matchmaking is because it is based on how you would engage, like how to keep a player's engagement up. So, like, we want this player to play the game as long as possible. So what we do is we give him some wins. We let him lose to some other people, but we give him some wins every once in a while by matching him against opponents who are less skilled than him. And so now you're kind of understanding why engagement-based matchmaking fucking sucks, because at the end of the day, how you're going to win the game isn't based on your skill alone. It's based on if you're matched against opponents who aren't 13 levels above you, in skill. Like, it's ass, and I've never enjoyed an engagement-based matchmaking game because even if I do have a successful game once, then it matches me against opponents who are way better than you. And people say... I've seen memes. I feel like I'm fucking losing my mind. I've seen memes where people are like, skill-based matchmaking when you win one game and it then matches you against like super try-hard opponents. It's like, no, that's not skill-based matchmaking. That's engagement-based matchmaking. Correctly implemented skill-based matchmaking matches you against opponents who have the same track record as you, more or less. Correctly implemented engagement-based matchmaking is what you're describing right now in this meme that you're complaining about skill-based matchmaking about. Skill-based matchmaking isn't bad, and people complain about it so fucking much. It's not bad at all. Engagement-based matchmaking is liquid dog ass, and it's what's being perpetuated throughout the industry because, believe it or not, it works for engagement because people play the game until they get a win and they're like, woohoo, I'm having fun now, and then they get pub stomped, and it works for engagement despite the fact that it's so fucking anti-fun for anyone who knows what's going on, because you know that you don't actually have a say in your success or not. It's the matchmaking that determines, well, do we give them a win this game or do we give them a loss? Well, they were doing pretty good in their last game. Maybe we'll match them against better opponents. They'll get a loss this game. Well, they got pub stomped that game, so we'll give them a win this one. We'll toss them a win. And that's what engagement-based matchmaking is. It's fucking dog ass. So yeah, that's my complaint about engagement-based matchmaking. And that's my thoughts on the finals. I need to remove Subnautica from this playlist. I forgot it was still in here. I'm not a Subnautica fan anymore. I loathe Subnautica, not really, but some controversy involving Subnautica came up, and I don't want to support them anymore, so I gotta remove that from my thing. Trying to lobby browser-based matchmaking of TF2. I haven't played TF2 recently with Jesse and Corey. I've been playing it. We've been playing it recently, and it's just fun. I'm having a fun time with it. Sometimes I do really good, and sometimes I go Market Gardener Soldier and just fly around the map and get 5 kills the whole match. So it's a fun time. And I think it's a better matchmaker than, engagement-based or skill-based. You know what I mean? Skill-based isn't bad, though. That's the kind of point I'm getting to. Skill-based isn't bad. It's engagement-based that you're all complaining about and you don't realize. But finally, I can't scroll down in the thing, so I'm just gonna move this like that. Boom, my future plans. So, My future plans. Let me tell you how successful they are. Get a job, move out, get a new computer, make some simple games? Question mark. So I made this kind of list of future plans a couple months ago at the end of last year, because I graduated, and so I've been applying to a bunch of places the last 2 months. I have gotten fucking nothing back, like barely anything, and I've never actually gone to an interview yet. So that's fucking fantastic. Luckily, my friends and my family have been saying, "Don't worry about it. Hunting for a job's hard. It's difficult." My sister's like, I applied for 3 to 5 jobs every day for 3 months straight, and I only got 2 interviews in that whole time. And I was like, okay, so there's that at least. And, some of my friends are like, yeah, I applied because I've been applying to a lot of government jobs, and my friends are like, oh, I've applied to a lot of government jobs. And one of them I applied to like last year, and, I got a job, and they just responded to me this year. So don't expect them to be super expeditious. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So I've been applying to a lot of private sector as well. 2 interviews in the last year. When is Paggigalo releasing on Switch? It's never releasing. That's lost media. Whoever has it has it. Just like AJ has that incriminating couple minutes of me singing the DK rap. But yes, after I get a job, the idea is to save up money so I can move out of my sister's house or my parents' house, because they're right down the street from where my sister is. And basically I'm just living in their houses at the moment. And then I can move out of their houses and hopefully get a new computer this year, because my computer was made in 2015. So next year it's going to be a decade old. Wowie, this baby's holding together well. Been treating her as well as I can. And she was using the best stuff I could at the time. So I'm glad that she's held up this long. She's been able to play a lot of games and still hold up to a sense, but she's definitely lagging behind a bit now. Like, for instance, I was talking about how after the failure that was Starfield, I started playing Skyrim again. And what surprised me was that I couldn't really run E and Bs that well, which is like what Skyrim does to update its graphics so it looks a bit better. A lot of the modders, I couldn't really run E and Bs that well. So my computer's definitely lagging behind. It needs an update, and so I want to get a new computer soon. What do you mean 2015 wasn't almost a decade? Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, it's almost there. To put it in perspective, me and my friends who are talking in chat here, or at least one of them, graduated in 2015. I think, no, I actually graduated the year before, but yeah, we graduated in 2015. So, yeah. So it's been almost a decade since we graduated high school. And here I am just finally graduating college. Wowee. What are you doing with your fucking life? But my parents and my sister are trying to convince me to not move out this year, because I should just save up, and instead of doing a rental when I move out, I should just get a mortgage and like buy a property instead. And if I save up money for around 2 years, I could be able to do that. So I should just get the computer this year and then save up for like a mortgage. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but the plan is to hopefully move out this year and get a new computer this year. We'll see how that goes, because I still don't have a fucking job. It's been over 2 months now, and I still don't have a job. I'd really like to get one soon. Teehee. I really like one. But are they behind them with that? Yeah, I'd say it's not a bad idea. But for the final bullet point, make some simple games. I've been actually making some ideas. I have a. Oh, let me see. On my desktop, I have a I have a 5-point plan of 5 games that I have ideas for that I'm gonna make kind of in the interim while I don't have a job. So the first one I'm already working on, and then they get kind of more complicated over time. So the first one's just like a simple point and click, doing some simple stuff. The second one's going to be 2D platformer. The third one's going to be another 2D platformer, but it's going to be kind of Metroidvania-esque. The third one's going to be a bit more 3D, kind of sim. And the last one's going to be 3D kind of character action fighter. At least that's what the plan is for now. So that's my 5-step gaming plan. If you're asking how long that'll take, probably years. Like what I just told you, it's not gonna happen instantly. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna be something that's gonna take me years to do. But if you're asking what do I plan to do this year, at least the first game is a for sure lock in. The second game probably as well, and hopefully get working on the third game because that will be my first big project. That kind of 2D Metroidvania. So if I can get through the first 2 games this year, which are simpler projects, and then work on that 2D Metroidvania and hopefully get some work on it before the end of this year, then I'll be very happy with myself. But Corey, I'll actually talk to you about it on stream and stuff because the first game and the fourth game have a bit to do with Monster Collection. So I'll talk to you a bit because I want your insight on some things, I'll say. So we'll see. But yeah, and so that's the plan with that. Other than that, I'll probably stream some more because I don't got anything else to fucking do. I'm just gonna be sitting at home all day doing nothing, cleaning the house, watching the dogs, and doing nothing. So I'll probably be streaming. I'll probably throw out some streams, probably some randomizers. I've been playing some randomized Zelda recently, having a lot of fun with that. I haven't gone back to Kingdom Hearts 2 yet, but I know I'll have fun with that when I return to it because Kingdom Hearts 2 is fantastic. And the randomizer is fucking fun. So, maybe some Pokemon randomizers, but I'm a big randomizer guy. I'll probably return to some randomizers. There are also some indie games that I want to check out on stream that I've been holding off on, like I mentioned earlier. Pseudo Regalia is something I want to check out on stream. I think it would be fun too. Other than that, I mentioned last year, I think in my thing, I mentioned Shadows Over Loathing, which is a sequel to Shadow. Oh no, it was West of Loathing. West of Loathing was a game I streamed and I had a lot of fucking fun with. I love streaming that game. It was so much fun. Shadows Over Loathing's a sequel, and instead of taking place in the Wild West, it's taking place in like a town with some Eldritch Abomination stuff. So I want to stream that eventually. I've still had it on the backlog. Of course, speaking of backlog, Nancy Drew. Maybe some streams of those. We'll see, because I know people like those streams. But that's if I do end up kind of committing to streaming this year, which I probably won't. But I do want to send a few more streams, play some games that I've been meaning to play some randomizers, because, yet again, I'm not doing anything else with my time besides just applying to fucking jobs. So until I get a job, expect a couple more streams, hopefully. We'll see. I definitely have some stuff to update, like OBS and all that stuff, and keep up to date with some stuff. But, yeah. So that's really it for me. Let me refix this screen region, because it was at a very specific place for a reason, I believe. It was very specifically like this because I used it for something and I forget what it was. Zoomed in is what it's called. So maybe I just use it to zoom in on a browser window. Not sure. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming around, Corey and Noah, and stopping by. Hopefully I'll do some more streams soon. This was, of course, a couple months late. I meant to do this earlier, but I was busy, and I got sick, and various other things. Now, I'm mostly over the sickness, but I still have the long tail cough, which is really fucking annoying. But it usually only happens at night. And sometimes when I'm laying down and when I wake up in the morning and that kind of stuff, because mucus is building up in my throat, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's kind of annoying having that long tail cough, so that's held me off from streaming as well, where I don't want to be streaming when I have a cough, but I do have a mute button for my mic. I can do this thing right now where I'm myself in the middle of my sentence. Hopefully you understand what I'm getting at. So, which wasn't that hard. I don't know why I hadn't done it at this point. But yeah. So, with that being said, that's the wrap-up stream, and done in a little over an hour. Whoopee. I think that's one of the fastest ones I've ever done. Sometimes I look at past years and look at some of the things that I said, and and some of the stuff that I said I wanted to play and see if I actually ended up playing any of it. I'm not going to do that this year because I'm already running late with this stream, and I already have responsibilities to do. I got to feed these dogs in a couple minutes. So I'm done for today, but expect a stream coming soon. Hopefully with other stuff. And so for now, I enjoy your presence, anyone who came by to watch. And yeah, hopefully this new year will be good for me. These past 2 months, I've been doing literally nothing. I need to get back exercising as well. That's something I gotta get back into doing as well. Haven't done that since pre-COVID, which has been so fucking long. I'm starting to get a little fat weight in there. But you know what? We only got one song right at the beginning. Let's put another Wild Frost song in there to end us off. Let's go Sunbringer. I remember that one being good. So yeah, this favorite game soundtrack of last year. One of the favorite game soundtracks of all time. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's it. That's it for me. Thanks for stopping by. Loved talking to you guys in the chat. Loved giving my thoughts on the year. I always love doing the stream. Even if I stop streaming permanently, I'm still probably going to do the stream every year because it's just fun to put my thoughts out there and give myself a time capsule for the future so I can look back on what I thought, when I'm 30, 40, 50 years old, I can look back at my younger self and be like, oh, what did I think of previous years, previous games and stuff like that, and what were my thoughts for the future and stuff. Didn't talk about the layoffs that are happening in gaming, which are fucking tragic, but what can you do? What can you do? Have fun storming the castle. So true. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. That's gonna be it for me, guys. I'll let the song play us out. Thanks for stopping by. Hasta la pasta. See you later.